Friends, let's continue our summary. I'm going to say it again, only in the English, just to save time. And we're up to, you follow along as I translate directly, Sif Yud, summary of Sif Yud. No, I think Sif Hey, sorry, Sif Yud. I was looking at Sif Vav, Sif Hey. So the question you asked was that the Seder in the Pasuk, the it's more obvious that Leva Adam, us, should affect the Adam Alien than Mayim Panim Lepanim, the Adam Alien should affect the Pshitas of the Ein Sof. The explanation is, so first, you would want to answer, he says, that, well, of course we can affect the Pshitas, it's more obvious because it's Poshet and it receives. But the rebuttal, the rejection of that attempted answer is that that's if it's in the same category. But Oir itself is completely different. Bligvul, it's not in the same category like a canvas and paint. So the answer is, what in the second paragraph of Abir, in the summary now of Sif Hey, is that it's takabait, it's not logical at all, but it's by divine decree that Sarusa de Latata should affect above, and here's the critical part, and therefore that decree creates, as it were, that the Mayim Elyonim become the same sug. They become impressionable. It's a very deep word, that the Bligvul itself becomes impressionable by Gvul, even though logically incompatible fundamentally. But Mitzad Atzmos, it's all possible because the Eibush is the source of everything, Bligvul and Gvul, and the whole point of Bligvul, of his infinite revelation of the Eid Sof of the Pshitas Hamayim, is the end. The Pnimius HaKavana is Dir B'Tachtonim. So therefore, in the Bligvul already is carried the Kavana Pnimius, which is Gvul. And this is what we learned earlier about the Tzimtzumim earlier in the Mamorim of Basi Legani. We made reference to the square Tzimtzumim that precedes the Tzimtzum HaRishon, the Tzimtzum HaGadol, the eagle square, because we explained that's the Inyan Gvul that's right there in the Pnimius HaKavana that precedes the classic round Tzimtzumim, which all point to the virtue and the value of infinite, round having no beginning or end, and equidistant. Every point of the circle is equidistant from the center. In the face of Bligvul, all is equally insignificant. But in a rectangle or a square, then you're closer or further. That's Kreich HaGvul. And that's embedded within Hashem's revelation at the very outset, very deeply, because that's the Kavanah Pnimius. And hence, the notwithstanding the overt properties of the Eid in Safa Bligvul, Hashem makes it, as it were, in the sug of our avodah, because that's why it's there. And Tzadar Atzmos, it's all possible. And that's the next point of Sivav. And the reason, why get involved in all of this? Because Neshama Yisrael are rooted in you. And they carry your Atzmos Dike properties. And your Tainig is from the avodah of Eden. It touches you at Atzmos Dike level because that's where they are rooted. Then started Siv Zayin, which is Be'emes, the whole body of the Maimed. So I guess in direct translation, to understand and appreciate the dargas elucidated early in the Eid Sof, which he doesn't go into here, but the three dargas are, from the top down, there's Atzmos, and then the Eid Bligvul, and then there's the darga in the Eid Sof, where the Esses Sviris Agnuzes appear. And the Rotzen is in the Eid Sof Bligvul. That's where the Rotzen is articulated. So to appreciate all of that, we have to understand, what does it mean, Esses Sviris Agnuzes? So he traced two levels. There's the way the level of Akudim, but that is still not the source of Esses Sviris Agnuzes. There's still a Metzias. Where does Esses Sviris Agnuzes, what's the proper designation would be and is, what are they? It's Yechelis. And that's exactly what the Mayim is the Yechelis, that the image should appear in it. And the Moshel Gashmi in our world, which devolves from them. We said yesterday, we were talking about the Inyan of Shem, the Baal Shem Tov and so on. Kesa Shem Tov El Gabei, and a shame, a name on the one hand is the most external, it's not integral to the person at all. He doesn't need it, he doesn't have to even know of it. It's only for others, and it's activated by others. But when others use it, he turns. then later he actually went deeper than that in differentiating between the Ein Sof. Maybe it's coming up now. Yeah, that's Sivches. So what then is the difference between that's this Hakanuzis and the Ein Sof itself? It's all possibility. Ein Sof can be impressioned. Shemus can be called upon. What's the difference? That making the question very clear. The Ein Sof is now besug and it's ready to accept an image. So there's yechelis for an image there. Hashem is nothing till somebody calls it. There's yechelis for the name to be activated. So what's the difference? That's Sivches. The difference is that in the Ein Sof, it's because I can have you in me. And Shemus is, so that's your validity is because I've invited you here. And Shemus is already the acknowledgement of otherness on some level. It's not the same dark. That's what he wanted to go to. That's what he's driving at since his Siv Zayin and Siv Ches. And this is translated let's see how he does it in the summary. In contrast to the Esesres Agnuzes, which they seem to be the same level, but that and the Ein Sof itself, which is now impressionable, same thing. So all Yechel is possibility. So he says, no, in contrast to Esesres Agnuzes, the relationship with the Ein Sof to upon him is not that the Ein Sof can produce, and that would mean a change. That would mean a change. But there can be Sviris in Ein Sof. It's just being itself, and you have Sviris, you're welcome. You didn't change, and you're there. So that, as opposed to Shemus, is already a designated name. It's already a name that if someone will call you, and the motion we gave for that, even Benefesh Adam is Yesh Loimar, that a person's consent that he'll have a name. But there's no name there yet. Esesraknusis is already a name. Then there's the possibility that he could have a name. That's the Ein Sof.
But a name a person is not given by the person himself. It's given by somebody else without his consent.
That's the L'Negeh.
Okay.
What Negeh is that it's only activated by someone else calling it. And that's why it's given by somebody else. But a person could give his own name as well. People do that. People do that. Happy Allah, you're allowed to change your name. And people do, and add names. So you can do that. But why is he doing that? That's already because he's living in a world of engagement. Then others are going to call him. He wants to, it's all because of his consent. Upon him now, Siftes. Let's look at the summary and I'll translate in direct translation. The pasuk says, Kamayim ponim leponim, like the water reflects the face shown to it. So just like what's the point? The face that's the image is there, that's the water. So to the Esesviris Agnuzis, now we're talking the Esesviris Agnuzis, the lower level Kavayachal, is not something separate from the Ein Sof, but Bepnimis, they are Ein Sof. It's only externally that they are possibility for something else to call them. But what are they? There's not something else in the Mayim. That's the Mayim. So now the big chiddush is now that we've established this big chiddush that the Esesviris Agnuzis in the Agnuzis, which exist in the Ein Sof, are not separate at all. It is Ein Sof. Again, the Ein Sof is not like it produced like water produces, fish or whatever microbes in the water. It's not producing. There's no shili. There's no change. The water's being the pshitus of water, and the image can be accepted. That's its whole beauty. That's its mind. It's pshitus that it can take an image. Now that we established that, now the big news is that that's the image that's reflected back to the person looking. What's he seeing? So Atzilus is the reflection of Esesviris Agnuzis. If Esesviris Agnuzis is nothing other than the pshitus of Ein Sof, so what's the pnimius of Atzilus? Also Ein Sof. Notwithstanding the hardcore definition of Esesviris and the whole Gewalt, the pnimius is pure Ein Sof. It's only. This is what a Yid activates. It's all throughout Avodah that we are unlocking all this. The pnimius is all a likus. And God remains unchanged through all of these manifestations. And I didn't translate. Let's look at the translation. So just like the face that faces the water, so to Esef Sagnus is not separate from the Ein Sof, but they are the pnimius of the Ein Sof. Bechitzonis, their possibilities, their names. That's its external, overt identity. But we're unraveling it. But M is what's going on here. That's something else, that image in the water. It's not. And just like the face that appears to the person is the face in the water, So who's the person? The Moshel is Atzilus. He's the Adam. In the Moshel here is the Adam Elyon in the Moshel. So too, the SS is Atzilus, which appear back to the person, which are revealing. Atzilus is the revelation of SS is Agnosis. So what's it revealing? Yana Pnimi is it's revealing a lekos, the pshitas of the mind. Now it sounds technical, but you need to understand the emes of it. So the kavan Pnimi is this is what it is. It's alt eibishter. It's tremendous eye opener here. The Pnimis of Atzilus is the Pshitus of Ein Sof, and Ein Sof, which would naturally be impervious to Tzir, is accepting Tzir mitzat Atzmos, and that's what Atzilus is. That's what it all is. And the end of the Mayim, he said that through Avodah of Bir Nefesh HaBahamis, you work on your own little iskafia where he's pale, the dissolvement or the illumination of all the tzimtzumim of the SS V'Sagnus, even lift that tzimtzum, which didn't even talk about the mind. Opening up all the channels. And then the Rusa del Iber, the Avod, the Neshama, he gives like a Shei Be'emes, Shema Yisrael is Mamshech Atzmos. But he opened up all the doors. He dissolved all of the barriers to the beauty of Nefesh HaBahamis, allowing the Neshama pure expression. That's what comes out at the end, right? Continuing now in the summary, Kain live Adam la Adam. So the question was, now he's answering the question. We're going in Akala la Kovid, we're going from the easier to the more difficult concept. So how do you start with Kamayim Panim El Panim? You're talking about the Pshitis of Ein Sof. Answer is, upon deep reflection, how could we make it see it in Adam and how could we make it see it in Atzilus? It's already Mitzuyer. After the whole hezbed of combined panim lepanim with the pnimis of the SS Agnuzis, which is then the pnimis of Atzilus, is pshitus. Therefore, we can make it seer there. God is makabel us there because of his pshitus. This complete, undefined openness that our avodah touches, and his glory does not get in the way. That's the sweetness. Because his glory, the pnimis is the Ratzon Elyon, is pshitus, and the Ratzon Elyon of a relationship with us. That's translating it in Pashat Oisis. So the first part of the pasuk is the Hezber. How we're able, the mata, to affect Atzilus. It's already a tzir. It's a canvas that's been painted with a glorious painting, a divine painting, and we're coming along with our little iskafia, dealing with who knows what, and that's making an impression on the Adam Elyon. And Atzilus? The answer is yes, because it's completely, Rabbi says, I'm completely open here, touch me there, because you're the whole Kavanah, and my Atzilus, what's my whole Atzilus? It's just open arms to welcome you. It's Pshitus. The whole Gewalt of the Malachim and the Me'ilmes Elyonim, the whole thing, which overwhelms us, and its glory and magnificence and the superlatives and descriptions. It's all simple pshitus, open arms to take you into me in the deepest way. And you'll do that with your limitations, which is why I manifested myself with these limitations. Because that's the reflection of how you're built. So why is in other words, why who needs all this? Pshitus directly. We're not Pashut. We're Mitzuyah. We're profoundly limited. So with your limitations, you're going to overtly connect to the limited revelations above, which would preclude you even connecting because it's already perfect and done. There's no room for you there. But on the other hand, there's this relationship because you're made in that same way. What you're really connecting to is me in the deepest way. And that's why I manifest these attributes. Because of you. Not just trachten backwards and forwards through. There's no each one of their own ICS. Till it pales on us a little hazaza. Whoa. My little iskafia. Affects everything. Biz called mamish, the deepest, utmost Abish himself. And that's why there's that holy shtalshalus. That's why it's there. When I'm going to put full another Jew, the Gewalt, there's no words. Let's go to, I summarize Siftes. Now we're going to go to Sif Yud. The last two Isius. The Avodah through which we megala the pnimius of the Adam Elyon, the Pshitus. What causes Adam Elyon to have its external form? The Tzimtzum. That creates the overt, higher and lower and distance and I mean it's such a real, such a real, as it were, quote unquote, in quotations, distance, that the Malachim look at us with disdain. They exist after so many tzimtzumim and dealing with the Yitzhara ben Echem. They look at this Eibishter, what are you doing? Disdain. So he dissolves all these tzimtzumim. And that's Rubir Nefesh Bahamis. That's a Zichur Chaparsa that illuminates the parsa between Esesvis Agnusis and Esesvis Avatzilis and all the parsois. He says all the way to the Esesvis Agnusis and the deepest, the square Tzimtzum may refer to, the Tzimtzum Ribua, all of it dissolved. Dissolved means illuminated, that it's all the likus. That's Abur Nefesh Bahamis. Opening it all up. And then, Mamshech Atzmos, that's the pure Neshama. Nefesh Bahamis allowing or even partnering with and expressing the neshama. That's the page. That's the avodah of Rusa Deliba, the desire of the heart, which brings out the neshama. So Sif Yud Aleph, Matan Torah is 2 in Yonim, Gilo Ya'atzmos. That is through avodah of neshama, and the bittul agzeira vel Yonim betachtoin that allows atzmos lamata. That's the avodah. That's Sfiras. That's the avodah of Nefesh Bahamis, Sfiras Oimer. And that's to Yon B'chol Ba'itcha, that's Mamshech Atzmos, that's pure Neshama, and Nefesh Bahamis, that opens up all the doors, that there's no impediment, and the whole world is refined and ready to receive the Giloy of the Eibish and Yidden, Yisrael, Amalchim, B'chadoyi. The Yidden and the Eibish are all one. The whole world becomes a home, so it's not just bricks, it's not just bricks, and it's not just a toilet. It's a home which reflects every detail of it. Who? The soulmates that live there, Eden and the Yebisht. We've refined the home, we've cleaned it, we've polished it, and you walk in there and you feel the presence of those who live there. You feel the balabosta, you feel the children. You just look around, you see their presence in every detail. That's the beauty of Nefesh Shabbat, that's the beauty of the world. Hence we have to engage the non-Jews, etc. And now we're the final battle. The final battle of our land, an identity which the world is demanding of us to come out with the emes, I am a Yid, and that's how this all begins.